Go on.
All right.
Well, let me report this. The Baltimore Sun has just reported that they now have a mistrial in the case of Officer Porter, the first of 6 officers to be charged in the case of Freddie Gray. I say that with a caveat that I don't have that confirmed, and the reason I don't have it confirmed is because our producers are still inside the courtroom, where producers are not allowed to send outside information. And now Fox News has confirmed we have a mistrial.
All right, so a mistrial must be the result of a deadlocked jury and a determination by this judge that it would be fruitless to deliberate any further. The effect of the mistrial, of course, we can talk about, but we now know that it has happened.
And let's do it. There's breaking news now on Fox News Channel. There is a mistrial now declared in the case of the first officer charged in connection with the death of Freddie Gray last April while in police custody in Baltimore. Here's what's happened. Yesterday, the participants, the jurors, came together with the judge, sent him a message and said, "We are hopelessly deadlocked. Judge, we will not be able to come up with a verdict." The judge issued an Allen charge, as it's called in courts across the country, and told the jurors, go back into the jury room and try again. That was in the early afternoon. In fact, just before this time yesterday, the judge sent them back. They worked until 5:30 last night. So rarely do judges let a jury impaneled, which has made such a statement, leave for the evening without a decision and having sent a message to the judge that they couldn't come up with a verdict. But it happened this time. They went back to work this morning, first thing around 9 o'clock. They worked all through the morning, took a lunch break, have come back, and then in the last 20, 30 minutes, sent a message to the judge. And now we know that message was, Judge, we're hopelessly deadlocked. And now we know the judge has declared a mistrial. So what happens now? Leland Vittert is our correspondent on scene and is live outside the courthouse now. Leland, give us the news as you have it.
As we have it, Shep, is the same thing you're getting. We're kind of having to cover this trial by telegraph. Each media organization is allowed one person in an overflow room, and from there they can send out emails or tweets. So that's why this information and the exact words from the judge are coming out incredibly slowly. This now from the Baltimore Sun. Judge Williams accepts that the jury tried its best, but could not agree. So not only are we getting this information very slowly, but so is everyone in Baltimore who has so much invested in this case. We all remember the riots, and the police have prepared unbelievably so for the possibility of violence after this verdict. Will a mistrial bring any type of violence or any type of protest? We don't know. Protesters have told me, though, they will be on the streets. They will make their voices heard. The police have brought in hundreds of reinforcements from around the state. And actually, just now you can hear overhead one of the Baltimore police helicopters that has been circling all day now, looking to see if there's any trouble. Just down to my right, about 100 yards, are dozens of police officers staged. They have riot gear as well at the ready, Shep.
Yep, we're not going to, Leland, thank you. We are not going to look forward to events. We're not going to guess about events. We're not going to predict events. We're not going to think about events. When events happen, we will report on them, and that is all. Judge, what I want to talk about is what happens now. Should we expect to hear from the prosecutors, the defense attorneys? Should we expect to hear from the judge, or will they continue?
Well, likely the jury should be dismissed. At the time the mistrial is declared, they no longer have a function to play. I expect we will hear from the government first. The government will say we plan to retry the defendant. They have the opportunity to retry him or to move to dismiss the indictment. It's almost inconceivable that they would move to dismiss the indictment. Remember, they have 5 more trials.
Might they go ahead with another trial first?
Be very, very unusual to do that. They chose the order in which to try these defendants. They wanted to try all of them at once. When the judge said, you're going to try them separately, you pick the order. So they've got to decide up or down on this particular defendant.
I've covered cases for 25 years. Right. What normally happens is a judge like yourself would say, jurors, thank you for your service, for doing the best you could do. You're now free to go about your lives. Talk if you want to, don't if you don't.
Very unusual if he says you can't talk at all. The press, Leland Vittert and others down there, will try and talk to them to find out what was the stumbling block, what was the vote, how close did you come, what were the arguments that were made. If the judge allows the jurors to talk, both sides, the government and defense counsel, will send investigators to interview the jurors. They want to find as much as they can about what happened in that jury room so that they can be prepared to address the jurors' concerns at the next trial.
There were 4 separate counts. You could be hung on some and have a decision on others. Here are the 4 counts. reckless endangerment, which means engage in conduct that creates a substantial risk of death or physical injury to another, minimum 5-year sentence. Could not reach a decision on that. Count 3, misconduct in office, corrupt behavior by an officer in the exercise of duties of his or her office, or while acting is also found in case law. Anyway, the penalty up to the judge. Couldn't reach a decision. Count 2, assault in the 2nd degree. If you touch someone else in an unwanted manner that could be perceived as unwanted, offensive, or potentially harmful, whether or not it causes injury, you could be charged with this offense. Minimum sentence 10 years to a verdict. And then count number 1, the killing of another unintentionally while doing an unlawful act, not a felony, a negligent act, or by negligently failing to perform a legal duty. A maximum 10-year sentence for that charge, which is involuntary. All 4 counts, the jury could not become unanimous. Are you surprised?
No, I am not surprised. There were in both sides' presentation here, Shep. The government was not able of a witness any certain testimony about when and during the course of this travel the victim actually died. There is no eyewitness to anything that the police officer did. The defense made some mistakes. The person in the van with Freddie Gray at the time he dies. Defense said in its opening, we're going to produce him, and he's going to show you. He's going to tell you exactly what happened.
They did not.
They didn't produce him. That's a first-year law school mistake. You don't promise something that you can't produce. So some weaknesses here, but on balance, this is a defeat for the government. Nobody likes a mistrial. The defendant doesn't want to go through this again, but it is far better than a conviction. The last thing the state wants is to have to retry this case, knowing there are 5 cases beyond this still to come.
The judge